Good evening and welcome to the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net, the most interesting net in two-way radio. Tonight we are live from Studio Vanguard and we are linked in with the following repeaters.
Tonight we are live on Lula, Flagship, Fort Mountain, Buckhead, Watkinsville, Columbus, Jersey, Toccoa, Rome, Noonan, Peachtree, Zebulon, Lookout Mountain, Chattanooga, White Oak Mountain, Mount Roosevelt, Cades Cove, Georgetown, and Ottawa.
This net takes place every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. I would like to thank all of you who've made the North Georgia GMRS the most expansive and active GMRS network in the country. Your net control tonight is Atlanta 947, WQIR 514. My name is Julie.
And this is WQIR 514, Atlanta 946. My name is Justin.
And this is WSAL 368, Atlanta 263. My name is Rogers.
And this is WRUB 711, Atlanta 519. My name is Gary.
On the net, you can talk about your day's activities, radio equipment, or anything you think we would like to hear. This is a family-based network, so we encourage you to get your family involved. Guest check-ins are welcome from anyone with a valid FCC call sign. Once the floor is open, it is permissible to address other members of the net by their name or tactical unit number. Your FCC call sign is only required when you sign in and when you sign out of the net. Also, you can tune into our YouTube channel and follow along. Or even better, tune in after the net to watch your appearance on the network and hear how you sound to us right here in Studio Vanguard. And remember, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment so we know you are watching. These interactions mean the most to help our new channel grow. So, tonight's topic is
Emergency power.
There you have it. Emergency preparedness month is this month.
I don't know that you're prepared.
I don't know if I am either.
Well, yeah, this is tonight we're going to talk about emergency power. You know, historically that meant generators, right?
Right.
But these days we have a lot more options in terms of standby power. So we'll explore some of that, and we'll talk about what might work best for your situation. Let's break.
Well, before we do, let's take a moment and honor the victims and the heroes that died in the terror attack right here on American soil on September 11th, 2021, 24 years ago. We must never forget that day.
Okay, let's take a moment, and we'll take 60 seconds of silence. We'll be back.
For that.
You know, that's a tough situation. There's so many things have happened. You know, back in 2001, September 11. After the terror attacks, this country came together in unity. We set aside our political differences. We set aside, our political parties and our religious differences, and we all came together as a nation. And that's something that we've really lost sight of over the years. We said we would never forget, and it's not enough to remember the victims and the heroes of September 11th. We need to also remember the unity, and we need to remember that this is one nation. And regardless of your political position and attitude, I think that we really need to get back to a place of unity where we can hear one another and we can understand their position without being offended by it, where we can listen and tolerate ideas that are not our own. And that's, I think, something we've lost sight of. We said we would never forget. We need to remember. That's what we need to remember. We need to remember that we are a nation and that we're all brothers and sisters.
Well said. With that, I think we are going to go ahead and let's turn it over to Gary. I was under the impression that he has some sort of announcement to make.
Yeah, Gary had made a request to come on and make an announcement. However, he didn't submit his request in the proper format, and we didn't get enough copies, so we had to send that back for revision. So we're waiting for the final approval on Gary's request. Oh, wait a minute. He owns the joint. Gary, Atlanta 6-0. The floor is yours.
I love it, guys. Thank you so much for the handoff, and thank you guys for what you do and the great nets that you put together. I wanted to start by saying good evening to all of our North Georgia GMRS members. I want to thank you for being here and participating in tonight's net. I want our membership to know we are doing everything we can to learn as much as possible about the person or persons who have been jamming our great network. I wish to speak directly to the jammer from the Chattanooga area known as the FU Jammer. Know this, fellow, we will not waver, we will not falter, and we will never shut down our repeaters or go away. You are a despicable, trash-mouth, low-life individual that will one day get all that is due coming to you. Let me break. In addition to that message, mark my words, your end is near. Now, to my friends here on this great network, to everyone who hears my voice on this transmission tonight, hear this. I am offering a $2,000 reward to the person who provides the information leading to the positive exposure as to who this person is and where they live, and that leads to an FCC enforcement action, ending this senseless act of vulgar discourse and interference. Do the right thing. And to the jammers in Jasper and Gainesville, Georgia as well, you're next. Folks, if you know who is doing this, turn him in. Our addresses are available on the web, both for Justin and myself. I encourage everyone to get involved and end this senseless act against a great network that provides so much to a wonderful membership. Atlanta 60 is clear. WQYU 407. Back to net control.
Oh, very good. Well, that's exciting stuff. So that would if you have information that could lead to an FCC action, that's a kind of reward that could very quickly be turned into a significant portion of your lifetime membership dues. So that would be a great way to become an instant lifer. So for those that might have information, please send whatever information you have to either Justin at nggmrs.org, or better yet, send it to Gary at nggmrs.org. It's a pretty easy email address to remember. It's just Gary, Gary, at nggmrs.org. And any information that you send will be handled with discretion, and we will definitely pursue it to the end. So we do have some investigative tools that are in play, and we might have some powerful allies in getting to the bottom of this. So we're really interested in finally getting this resolved, and if you can help us out, that would be greatly appreciated. Where are we at? You've got.
I think we should see if Mike is available and go for announcements.
Free salad. Do you have any announcements for us tonight?
Fuck you, Gary Hobbit. Yeah, just stand by with me for just 1 second. I didn't have the announcements pulled up, but I can have them here momentarily.
Well, let me buy you just a minute, and while you're looking for that detailed information, I could stall here for just about anything. It's been an interesting week, and lots of things that are on our minds, and I would just appeal that we take a minute and reflect on who we are as a people and a nation, and try to draw on that, and let's look for that unity. Instead of looking for that quick comeback and that smart retort, let's take a moment and think about how we can bridge the gap between the left and the right and come to a center, come to an understanding that we can work together and that we can maybe ease some of the tensions here, because this is just so silly to bring harm to people over ideas. We really do need to step back from that and start looking at our brothers and sisters as who they are, and our neighbors, and our countrymen. So I just, with all the things that have happened this week, and with the anniversary of the terror attacks in New York and in Virginia and in Pennsylvania, I just want to call on an appeal for that sense of unity. So, Mike, have you unified any announcements?
All right, sorry about that and my lack of preparedness. I do have the announcements up. Good evening, everyone. This is Blue Ridge 63. I've got this week's news and announcements ready for you, but before I get all into that, we wanted to let you know that the merch store for North Georgia GMRS is still open and available on the website. If you visit nggmrs.org from the homepage, if you click on the drop-down menu for more links, right there is a link to the merch store. Items have been marked down, so now is the time to buy. If you've been waiting to get your hands on a shirt or a hat or something else, this is it. Once they're gone, they are gone. If you order before the upcoming Ham Fest in Chattanooga and you select the in-store pickup option, the team will bring them to the Ham Fest, and you can save a couple bucks on shipping. I like saving anything that I can right now, especially on shipping. Next up, I've got some upcoming gatherings to tell you about that are right around the corner. Pay attention and write these down. These are a great way to meet up with fellow members in and around your area. First one up is the Kennesaw Gathering. They'll have their next Meet and Geek meetup on Tuesday, October 14th, just a little more than a month from now, at noon at the Old Town Grill on Cobb Parkway, around the corner from McCollum Airport in Kennesaw. You can bring your radio, or if you have programming issues that you need to discuss, and they will have a mobile test bench available after lunch if you need it, where they can test and program most of the more popular radios after the lunch. Reach out to Ed, Atlanta 557, beforehand on the air or via email if you're planning to attend, so that he makes sure to have enough seats and to know that he needs specific radio cables and programming software ahead of time. Ed's email is wrqg806@gmail.com. Next up is the West Side Luncheon. Next date for that will be this Saturday, September 13th, at the Taco Mac in Marietta. The address is 2650 Dallas Highway in Marietta, Georgia. You can join the Rabbit Hole Gang for some good rabbit wings and and fellowship. Let me break. Over in Peachtree Corners, they're having their monthly brunch bunch meetup. That'll be the third Saturday of every month at JR's Log House in Peachtree Corners. So for this month, it'll be, a week from this Saturday, September 20th. It looks like they're having a special guest join us. That's what Pamela tells us anyway. She says, we look forward to meeting new members and talking about some exciting events coming in regards with North Georgia GMRS. Everyone is invited to join for a good meal. You can reach out to Pamela Atlanta 849 or Ernest Atlanta 848 on the air. You can email Pamela at skygazerpamela849@gmail.com. And next up is the Northeast Lunch Bunch. Their lunch meetup will be Wednesday, September 24th at 11 a.m. at the usual location at the Roosters Cafe in Dahlonega. All members and future members are welcome. If you need more information, reach out to Bobby, Atlanta 403, or Joe, Gainesville 44. For all those interested in Meshtastic fans, current users, and interested folks, given the recent interest in Meshtastic on our Facebook page and on the Thursday Night Net and in conversations on the air throughout the week, we are hosting the first ever Meshtastic workshop. It's going to be pretty cool. It'll be held this Saturday, September 13th, from 1 to 3 p.m. at the West Cobb Library in Kennesaw. That's next to the YMCA. Chattanooga 260 Colt, Atlanta 194 Scott, and Atlanta 557 Ed will be there to provide an introduction to Meshtastic, talk to you about what you can do with it, and how they're using it in and around the Atlanta area and elsewhere throughout our great state. The workshop will have a portion of it to show you how to configure a node. So if you have one or if you're ordering one and need some help getting it set up, this is the place to do it so that you'll leave with a working node to take home and use. I have a note that they will also have a handful of nodes available for purchase at the event if you can't bring your own. It's free for everyone to attend, but they are asking for RSVPs just so they know how many folks are coming beforehand. Send an email with your RSVP to WRQG806@gmail.com. And if you can't make it there, they will also be at the Dalton Ham Fest on October 3rd and 4th. We'll have a forum to introduce folks to Meshtastic. Let me break. And speaking of that Ham Fest, I think my notes said the Dalton Ham Fest. It's actually the Chattanooga Ham Fest because that's what's next in the announcements. That's this coming October 3rd and 4th, Friday and Saturday. So that's a little over 2 weeks away. The Chattanooga Amateur Radio Club and NGGMRS have joined together to host this year's Ham Fest at a great new venue called the Colonnade in Ringgold, Georgia. You can visit the Hamfest website at hamfestchattanooga.net for more information. This year's GMRS Fest will feature several speakers and forums from NGGMRS with topics including GMRS dipole antennas, radios and preparedness, GMRS for beginners, and, as you just heard me talk about, Meshtastic. NGGMRS, Hobbit Communications, and NGARA will be all at the venue among many other vendors at the first GMRS Fest. If you're able to volunteer this year, either Friday or Saturday or both, we do need a few more volunteers. Please send an email to justin@nggmrs.org. We are looking for talk-in operators to work out of the Vanguard studio for both the GMRS and amateur talk-in frequencies. So again, the date's Friday, October 3rd. Will be around. The event is from noon to 6. Saturday, October 4th, it runs from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. General admission is $10 a head, and it is good for both days of the show. Youth 18 and under get in free. Again, the website is hamfestchattanooga.net if you need more information. All right, it looks like that's it for this week. If you have any questions, comments, or news to share, send it in an email in the right format and on time to justin@nggmrs.org. That's it. Julie, back to you.
Well, thank you for that, Mike. We sure do appreciate it. And holy cow, it just seems like that list just keeps growing. With that, I'm going to talk a little bit about build it and they will come. So one day, Justin asked Gary what inspired him to stand up all of the GMRS repeaters across North Georgia. Gary said that he was personally driven to build, and that his inspirational quote came from the movie Field of Dreams, "Build it and they will come." He went on to say that he believed that once the infrastructure was in place, users would come, and they did. Since 2007, Gary has been building and installing GMRS repeaters throughout the North Georgia region and now well into Tennessee. For the first 10 years, Gary invested his own personal money into the infrastructure. From time to time, people would give a donation to help, but this covered only a fraction of the costs for installing and maintaining the repeaters. In 2017, the membership model was introduced. For those who wanted to participate on a regular basis, a small membership fee made ongoing support possible. As costs for access, maintenance, technology, and expansion grew, so did the dues. Today, we have a lot of contributing members and support for North Georgia GMRS Network, and it is quite impressive. We've been able to hold our dues at the same rate for several years. Due to the great success of North Georgia GMRS Network, an idea was presented to duplicate this kind of model in amateur radio. This was the seed that germinated into North Georgia Amateur Radio Association. NGARA seeks to not only promote amateur radio, but to provide education to make a path for progress for GMRS radio users to grow in their radio knowledge and skills, and to serve the radio community with a network of commercial-grade, high-quality, high-performance amateur radio repeaters in the 440 and in the 2-meter band. NGARA has 10 coordinated repeater pairs with 3 linked repeaters on the air right now. A 4th repeater is due to come live in the next few weeks, and a 5th repeater is scheduled to be activated before the Chattanooga Hamfest on October 3rd and 4th. Let me break. The remaining 5 repeaters will come on the air sometime in 2026, making NGARA a massive linked repeater network, providing regional communications for North Georgia. When in 2026? Well, there are a few number of factors that will determine this. Memberships are how we pay for the access, installation, maintenance, and technology. The founding members are literally funding the deployment of the NGARA network. Growth of the network is a result of membership support. Consider this. Many amateur repeaters are cobbled old components, salvaged, but salvaged from some other radio service and retuned for use in amateur radio. NGARA, on the other hand, is only using new Kenwood NXR 1800 and NXR 1700 repeaters. Also, NGARA is installing new commercial-grade antennas with proper hardware, proper Helix installation, and proper grounding by a professional tower crew. Due to insurance purposes, we can no longer use volunteer tower crews for North Georgia GMRS or NGARA tower work. With that being said, we need about 765 memberships to break even for 10 sites. The exciting news is that we're well on our way. Upon our preview of NGARA during last week's net, we had 50 contributing members in 2 days, and we haven't even made our official announcement yet. That is planned to be revealed at the Chattanooga Ham Fest. Wow, another 715 members is all we need. Build it, and they will come.
That is pretty cool, and it's exciting to see the growth that we've seen so far with North Georgia Amateur Radio Association, and it's even more exciting to think that we're well on our way to accomplishing our membership goals, and getting the kind of numbers that we need to achieve break even. Now, break even doesn't necessarily have to happen in the first months or even in the first year. As folks renew their memberships on a yearly basis, and memberships are the exact same formula, same pattern, same methodology as an NGGMRS. Memberships that if you apply for a membership now, it's going to cover you. Well, let's break. If you apply for a membership now, it'll cover you for the remainder of this year and all of next year. So your membership will become due for renewal in January of 27. Those renewals count towards that number of 765. So once we get to that point, then we'll be at a place where Gary's been paid back for the investment that he's making in building NGARA, and then we'll at that point be able to look at maybe potential expansion or other advances. So it's not something that just happens. I mean, so many times people come into an amateur radio club and they're invited to use the repeater, and the dues are very, very low, but so are the capabilities of the club, right? So what amateur radio club is able to just go out there and stand up 10 repeaters? And because they're not even trying to do those kind of things. That's not on their radar. That's not their purpose for existence. They don't have the kind of costs that we have. So when we hear comments about why are the dues so high, well, because our ambitions are high. We are doing more. We are doing all the things that a local club will do, but we're doing it on a larger scale. So that's the why. Now the how is because we have locations already, because we have access. Doesn't make it free. We still have to buy equipment, and we still have to pay people to climb towers to be able to install equipment. So it's not free, but we are willing to make that investment up front, knowing that if we build it, they will come. So, and that's the idea here. We're proud to be a part of North Georgia Amateur Radio Association, closely related to North Georgia GMRS. So one more thing that we're trying to do. A lot of people, let me break one more time. A lot of people also make comments about, well, all these dues are just trying to line Gary's pockets. He's selling these radios, he's making all kinds of money. The whole point of Hobbit Communications wasn't about making money. It was about supporting the network and providing a source for high quality radios. When Hobbit Communications was created, it was an answer to all the people that were going out there and were buying the Bofang 50-watt radio, or they're buying the Woshin GMRS radio, and hearing time and time again that, well, yeah, I got the radio, but I had to send it back because the finals are out of it, because it just quit working, because of this or because of that. And what great service, because I just sent it back and they sent me a brand new one. Well, if you think about that, if they're so willing to send you a brand new radio when your radio fails in short order, maybe you paid for 2 radios. Maybe you're not buying the best radio that you can buy. So Kenwood radios are built a little bit differently, and for about the same money, maybe a little bit more, you can buy a radio that has a 3-year warranty that you won't have to get a replacement for in 6 months, as opposed to the Chinese radios that so many of us have bought and used and had to send it back. That's great that the manufacturer replaced the radio for us, but wouldn't you rather have a radio that'll just stand up over the test of time? And that's one thing we've learned with the Part 90 radios, is that they will stand up over the test of time. And that's the reason for Hobbit Communications, to provide a better radio than we were seeing the membership buying. And now if somebody wants to buy a Wouxun radio and use it on a network, you can. We wish that you would buy a better radio because the Kenwood sounds better, the Motorola's sound better, the ICOM radios sound better, they perform better, they hold up better over time. It's a professional grade radio, whereas the other radios are consumer grade, and that's the primary difference. And we'd just like for people to get better radios for their money. I mean, you spend $400 on a Wouxun radio. For $435, you could have had a Kenwood. So that's the difference, and that's part of why why Gary created Hobbit Communications, was to make that available to the membership. These radios are being sold at just barely over cost, just enough to cover the overhead. Gary's retired, so he's not out there trying to make a living out of this. He's already done that. So if you're thinking about a radio, that's a great choice. If that's not the radio that you want, we also offer Anytone radios at Hobbit Communications. And if you choose to buy your radio from Chat Radio, let me break. If you choose to buy a radio from Chat Radio or from HRO or from any other vendors, that's okay. We love the guys up at Chat Radio. They're great guys. Jim has been a great supporter of North Georgia GMRS, and he's been true and true. So if that's where you want to buy your radio, we support that. But if you want to buy a Kenwood radio, we have them available too. So there again, it's not about trying to rake in a bunch of cash. It's about what things actually cost, and we actually have some real expenses related to NGARA, money that's been put out already personally by Gary to stand this network up, and he's committed to seeing it through, and we've got great support for it already, and we look forward to seeing what the next several months will do. And as a membership in NGARA grows, so will the network. All right, where are we at? Let's see, we got announcements. We got Gary's announcement.
I think we should see about check-ins.
You think there's anybody who wants to check into this silly thing?
I don't know, but maybe if we get you to stop talking long enough, we'll find out.
Well, good luck with that. Why don't you see if there's anybody out there who wants to check in?
All right, we're going to go to check-ins. So let's go to any repeater anywhere except for flagship. Again, that's any repeater other than flagship. Please check in now.
This is SGK496.
This is WSJH 316, checking in as a guest and checking me out.
I still have my. I'm good. Still have my.
This is CW3 WSAS 317, Jefferson, Georgia, checking in and checking out.
This is Whiskey Sierra Foxtrot Lima 995, Atlanta 1126, Joseph in Snellville, checking in and out.
This is WRPU 564, Gainesville 113, Keith and Priory Branch, checking in and checking out.
This is WRYE 756, CW33, Tom and Bogart, checking in, checking out.
This is S25E3758, Dallas 290. Checking in, checking out, Isaac and Dallas.
This is Atlanta 295, WSJL 977, Rhino on Cheshire Bridge Road. Good evening, Net Control. Good to have you back, Julie. Sorry, guys, check me in.
This is WSGS 735 at Noonan 40 Orestes in Palmetto. Check me in and out, please.
All right, let me go ahead and acknowledge the check-ins that we have. We have some YouTube check-ins, and I'll go to those first. We have Chattanooga 69 Ronnie in Rossville is a YouTube check-in. A guest check-in from Larry, WRWB 802 from Colorado. Glad to have you along tonight. We have Gainesville 63 Willard in Homer checking in on YouTube. WRYQ 727 Miko in upstate New York is checking in with us again tonight. And Rome 12 Mark in Rome is another YouTube check-in. On RF, we had a couple of guest check-ins from WSGK 496 and from WSJH 316. Had a rough copy on both of those. I think there might have been a double, and that's all we heard. There may be names, but we didn't catch them. But we did get those call signs logged in tonight's roster. CW3, Jeff in Jefferson, I've got you marked as in and out. Atlanta 1126, Joseph in Snellville is in and out. Gainesville 113, Keith in Buford is in and out. CW33, Tom in Bogart, in and out. Dallas 290, Isaac in Dallas is in and out. Atlanta 295, Rhino in Atlanta is in with us tonight. And Noonan 40, Orestes in Palmetto, in and out. One more YouTube check-in. We have Atlanta 379 Scott in Sandy Creek, New York is YouTube check-in with us tonight. Oh, and another one, Atlanta 15 Jason in Atlanta checking in on YouTube. Those are the check-ins we have at this time. We'll continue with check-ins from any repeater anywhere, including the flagship machine. And we're still looking for YouTube check-ins. So Dallas 69 Brett in Hiram, Georgia, just checked in. We'll get you in log. Thanks for that, Brett. And Net Control standing by for any additional check-ins.
This is Atlanta 849, WROB 245, Pamela in Duluth, and by relay Atlanta 848, Ernest in Duluth, both in and out tonight.
His first guest. This is. Good evening, Net Control. This is WRNW 488 Atlanta 532. Tom in Flowery Branch. I'll be checking in and checking out. Have a great net, everybody.
This is Whiskey Sierra Hotel Golf 331, Atlanta 350. Ted and Tucker on the Buckhead repeater checking in and out.
This is
This is
WSCP 913, calling in Washington, Philip in Dawsonville, checking in and checking out, and I will be monitoring. This is Atlanta 499, WSFP 962. This is Aaron incoming. I'll be checking in, checking out, and monitoring.
This is WSFH 294, Gainesville 420. Dick in Oakwood, check me in, check me out. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
This is WRKA 361, Atlanta 710, Scott and Roswell. Checking out.
This is
He's always low.
Atlanta 255, WSAM 586, checking in.
Way low down in there. I wonder if it's that okay from here.
This is WSDI 535, Atlanta 33, calling in from Washington, checking in, checking out. Have a great day.
This is Atlanta 967, WSDR 258, RC in Woodstock, checking in and out.
All right, let me go ahead and acknowledge this last round of check-ins. A couple of corrections on our YouTube check-ins. We have Atlanta 379 Scott in Sandy Creek, New York. Did I call that? I'm not sure that I did or didn't, but seems like I may have missed that. And Atlanta 15 Jason in Atlanta is a YouTube check-in. We did acknowledge Dallas 69 Brett in Hiram, but we did not acknowledge WRWZ 385 Travis checking in from Calistoga, California. I hope I said that right. Let me know if we did or didn't pronounce that correctly, Travis, in the comments there on YouTube. And also on YouTube, we have Atlanta 785 Rick in Marietta checking in. On the radio, we heard Atlanta 849 Pamela in Duluth is in and out, as well as by relay, Atlanta 848 Ernest, also in Duluth. We heard Atlanta 532 Tom in Flowery Branch, in and out. Atlanta 350 Ted in Tucker, in and out. Atlanta 242 Philip in Dawsonville is in and out. Atlanta 499 Aaron incoming, in and out. Gainesville 420 Nick in Oakwood. I could almost listen fast enough. Let's slow down a little bit, Nick, but we did get you in there. Appreciate that. Atlanta 710 Scott in Roswell is in and out. Atlanta 255 Jennifer in Dawsonville. We got you in there, but the audio was very, very low. I might take a look and see why that might be. Atlanta 423 Brian in Roswell is in and out, and Atlanta 967 RC in Woodstock is in and out. Those are the check-ins we have at this time. We'll have a round of late check-ins just before we close the program. So if you didn't get a chance to check in, be sure and stick around for that. We'll take one more call for any additional check-ins or questions or comments right there before we close the program. So like I say, if you didn't get a chance to get in, there will be another round before we go away. So tonight's topic is emergency power. September is Preparedness Month, and we have a series of emergency-related topics. So last week we talked about food and water storage. This week it'll be emergency power. Next week we'll be talking about emergency radio communications. And some of the stuff that we hear from our friends over at the Rabbit Hole, we're covering that, just as they have. And all the ideas that come from the Rabbit Hole, we kind of sneak them in over here too. It's all valid. And I think that probably every once in a while, one of the concepts or ideas that come across on this net wind up over there. So there's no competition here. We're just trying to convey the best information that we can, and make that available to the wider audience, so that we all have something to think about. So when it comes to emergency preparedness, whether we're preparing for, well, it doesn't matter what the event is. Oh, that light is flashing. That means something, doesn't
Break
it?
time.
Break time. All right, let's do that. So whatever the emergency is, you need food and water, right? And you need, today, we need power. All right, we need either energy to heat our food, or we need power to operate our devices. We have come so far from the days of not having electricity in our pockets and readily available to power our devices and electronics, that we really are so dependent on that stuff. Even if the internet is down, if the phone can't do anything else, it can still serve, in most cases, as a flashlight. So, let's face it, any good GMRS radio is going to have a built-in flashlight, right?
It depends on your definition of good.
So, but we do need these tools, and emergency power is one of those things. But it used to be that when we talked about emergency power, we talked about generators, pretty much just generators. I mean, that was our emergency power plan, right? And it might be a whole home standby generator that will just, you don't even have to think about it. If the commercial power goes off, a few seconds later, your lights and your TV and everything is back on, because the generator is kicked in, and a transfer switch threw everything over, and you're good to go. And that's nice if you've got that kind of equipment on hand to stand you up during an emergency. In most cases, that stuff is powered either by natural gas or propane, so it's going to run for a good long while. If you're talking about a generator that's sitting in your garage, now we're talking about a whole different animal, right? So now we're talking about, you got to go out to the garage, pull the cover off of it, wipe the dust off of it, check it for fuel, probably ought to have a look at the oil, and then see if the thing will start. If it's been sitting with fuel in it for a year, you might not even get it started.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing regular maintenance on your generator, if it's a portable generator sitting on a little cart in your garage, it might not be there and ready for you when you need it. So generators require a pretty decent amount of continual effort to be able to rely on them for an emergency. And if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to, if you're going to go out to the garage and fire up your generator once every six weeks, every couple of months, go out there, fire it up, let it run for a little bit, let the oil get good and hot, plug something into it, make it work, make sure it's going to provide power, put it through its paces. If you're not willing to do that periodically, then when you need that generator, it's going to let you down. But today we have devices that are a little bit more forgiving. Let me break. So for instance, if you've got a Jackery, you can keep that thing plugged in to household power, and that'll keep its battery topped off. And then if the power does fail, it's ready to go. You can plug in household appliances. You can run a refrigerator off of it. You can run your TV off of it. You can run a computer off of it. You can run your Radio Shack off of it, so that you can maintain communications with the Jackery. They come in various sizes. They're not cheap, but neither is a generator when you think about it. So if you're willing to spend generator money, the Jackery is portable. You don't have to worry about carbon monoxide. All right. So how many times have you heard about people succumbing to carbon monoxide because the generator is running just outside their window or in their garage?
Or a lot of times generators will create a lot of sound as well. And in a grid down situation, you don't want all of your neighbors and everyone within a mile to know that, hey, there's lights on over here.
Yeah.
You got hot water? Huh?
He's got power. What else does he have?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's the variety, too, that you see like on the Jackery and the Blue Yeti of, with your generator, you've got power. With these portable battery packs, you've got power for your phone, you've got power for whatever, and then you've got the capability to recharge those with multiple options, with solar, with DC power from your car. They're just a really flexible tool. The generator has its purpose, but the portable batteries, the Jackeries, the Blue Yetis are just a step up.
Yeah, I think that's a great tool to have in your toolbox when you're talking about preparedness, because whether your outage is for a few minutes, or if it's for a few hours, or if it's for a week or more, those devices have means of being charged by solar, and even from DC power, so you could run your car and charge your Jackery. Just super amounts of flexibility, like you say, and I think that gives us the security. If your generator is running on gasoline, and the grid's down, you've used up all the gasoline on your property. Are you going to start pulling it from your car? Is that a smart move?
Yeah, or risk going out to try to procure it elsewhere.
Right, because if the grid's down, the gas station's not pumping gas, right? So, what are you going to do? You're going to try to power up that pump yourself, and that's a complicated thing, and maybe it can be done, but that's going to take some resources to make something like that happen. You can't just show up and expect that to work. So. I think that not having to resort to that, let's break. Not having to resort to finding a source for gasoline, and if you can recharge with solar, maybe that limits the kind of things that you can operate, right? So depending on how much solar you have will determine the rate at which you can charge your device. So maybe you need to keep your refrigerator operating so that your food is preserved. Maybe you need to switch between your refrigerator and your communications equipment. Maybe you have enough power to run both. Maybe you have enough solar that you can keep your batteries topped off, and you only have to be concerned if we have a rainy period or a series of cloudy days. But even at that, solar panels aren't necessarily dead. They're just not outputting as much. So if you can budget your draw, you may be able to survive perfectly well on the solar that you get for equipment like that.
And I know a lot of people think that, okay, well, maybe that's kind of far off that the grid could go down. I know we always prepare and think about these kind of scenarios, but for me, like, I saw the director of the FBI come on television last year and gave a warning to all Americans, saying that our grid could be compromised in the next 3 years. So things have already been happening here and there. Sometimes they don't get as much news coverage, but as this is Preparedness Month, we need to be aware that anything can happen anywhere.
Yeah, that's right. And there's more and more demands being placed on the grid, especially now with these AI servers that are coming up. There are huge demands on electricity, and let's face it. All right, so if we've got a power crisis and we're running at the generation capacity, there's no more generation available, and it's a hot day, and everybody's got their air conditioning running, you know they're going to come on and they're going to say, hey folks, you need to turn your air conditioner off during the hottest part of the day, or we're going to turn your portion of the grid off, right? They're not going to go to the AI plant and say, hey, you need to shut off for a few hours every day. They're not going to do that. They're going to expect you and me to shut our AC off and help conserve the load to make sure power can be available to everybody. So, you know, if that's something that you can kind of budget for and prepare for on your own, and maybe you shut the main air conditioning off and you just run a mini split or something of that nature. If you can run that off of a Jackery, or if you can run that off of your solar plant, then maybe you can cool a portion of the house instead of having the whole house chill, and maybe that's enough. So there are things that we can think about in terms of being prepared for situations and scenarios like that. But you know, let me break. In the 15 years that we've been right here in Woodstock, our longest power outage was about 90 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad.
So we've had several that are, you know, in the 3-minute range where power goes out, comes back on, goes back out, comes back on. You know, we had an instance where that happened. It cycled a couple of times and then it went off and it stayed off. And it came back on in about 30 minutes. But the outages that have happened that were more than 5 minutes, I can count on one hand, because it happened that I'm aware of 3 times. The 90-minute outage, the 30-minute outage, and there was another 25 to 30-minute outage that happened. And basically, the crew came and they reset the breaker, and we were back in power. So the reliability of our power distribution is really, really good compared to what it was when we lived in Fort Wayne, where you'd have power out for half a day, at least once a month. You know, squirrel would get into a transformer someplace, something would happen, and it would take hours for the crew to find the fault and then you know, be able to fix it. So the reliability here has been tremendous. So with that in mind, it's really hard for me to justify investing in a generator. You know, it seems like it's something I should do, but when we've not had any significant outages, and you know, Cobb EMC is nationally recognized as one of the top electricity providers for high reliability, high runtime, minimal outages. They've got some pretty sophisticated equipment to make sure that happens. Some fancy switch gear. They can feed circuits from multiple points. They can transfer, like if my substation goes down, they can route power so that we can be fed from a different substation. These are things that I don't think the power company that we had in Indiana had those capabilities. But with that kind of reliability and that kind of uptime, it's really hard to justify spending money on backup power. But it's something that we all need to do, and we all need to be prepared for. So let's go ahead and open up that conversation. And I think first we're going to go to Atlanta 557, Ed in Kennesaw. Ed, what are your backup power, emergency standby power options?
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for calling on me. You know, you guys have done a really good job of highlighting the main options that are out there, and over the last year I've implemented most of those in my plan. I have a tiered strategy, just like I do for emergency comms, and first and foremost I have little batteries, inside batteries, not lead acid batteries. One of them is the one that Justin actually told us about a few months ago on the net, and those power my radios very easy. If the power goes out, the radios stay on. So that's the first tier. Let me break. If it goes beyond that, I've got 2 solar generators, each at 1,000 watts. They can power the refrigerator for a few days, and by having 2, I can have one outside charging using solar panels while the other one runs the refrigerator, and when that one gets low, I just swap them out.
I could get additional solar panels and have them both charging at the same time, but this approach works for me, at least right now. And that's the second level. So the first one is quick and easy. The second one uses free fuel, i.e. the sun. And then the last tier is that big old gas generator that I do have in the garage, and I have to take out every 3 months or so and run it for a while. But that's over 4,000 watts, and that can power pretty much the whole house or all the devices that I would want to power during an outage. So that three-tiered level seems to work for me. I haven't put it to use, knocking on wood, but I think if I need to, I'll be somewhat prepared. Back to you.
Yeah, that's a great plan, and having multiple levels of preparedness gives you, a higher level of certainty, right? So, I mean, the batteries are great to have, but he was talking about that $20 battery, I think, that I found.
Yeah, I was trying to look it up, and what was the name of that one?
I don't remember, but we could probably pull it up in my Amazon history pretty quickly. But so I cut mine open, right? I opened it up. I opened up the case, and in the process, I damaged one of the wires, and I have not yet bothered to put that back together. But I do have a project in mind for that battery. So I'm pleased to know that you've got one. Hope that it serves you well. I'm not convinced that it's a LiFePO battery. I believe those are a variant of an 18650 cell. But nonetheless, at that price point, it's still a good value, even if they're 18650 cells, right?
And like any good engineer, we took it apart.
That's
right.
That's right. We had to see. So it is pretty suspicious, and I'm not certain that it is what it claims to be, but it is at least a battery. And so in terms of, back in the days of the nickel cadmium cells, you remember those nightmares. I'd really be disappointed if they turned out to be NiCads, but I don't know that, does anybody even manufacture that chemistry anymore?
I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, I mean, they would lose reputation pretty quickly if they did, because those batteries, during their time, they were great batteries because that was the best that was available. But now they're talking about aluminum ion batteries. All right, so aluminum ion as opposed to lithium ion, we can find aluminum pretty readily. And if we can make a battery that's at least close to the efficiency of lithium ion out of aluminum instead, not needing cobalt, not needing lithium, that's a pretty cool development. So
we could take a full net and just talk about battery technology.
Yeah, I think we could.
Yeah.
But I think that that's key though to what we're talking about, because whether it's a LiFePO battery or whether it's a lithium-ion battery or if it's some other chemistry, that energy density that we've achieved in batteries today is so much greater than what we were able to do even just a short time ago. I remember, all my cordless tools, right? I had cordless drills and a skill saw and a sawzall. I had all those tools, but they were all Craftsman tools. Let me break. They were all Craftsman tools, and they were nickel cadmium batteries. And, these are from 25 years ago, when you could still go to Sears. And when it came time to start looking at replacing batteries for that set of tools, was about the time that things started going south for Sears. And so looking at the market, thinking, do I try to buy replacement batteries for these tools now? Thinking that the batteries would soon be unavailable. They just wouldn't be on the market anymore. And then I never really kind of came to that decision because the batteries were only part of the problem. The tools were okay, but we didn't have the impact drivers back then. So all I had was a battery drill. I had a skill saw, and I liked it real well, but it really wasn't very powerful. It didn't make very many cuts before you were out of battery. So I kind of thought I want to transition into something that I see being used more in industry. And at that time, I was seeing DeWalt being used as craftsman, tradesmen's tools. DeWalt, Milwaukee, Makita. These are the brands that you see, in the shops and in the construction sites and stuff like that. So I thought I'm going to go with DeWalt because DeWalt seemed like it was a great place in the middle. It wasn't as expensive as the Milwaukee, a little bit more than the Makita, but they had a huge variety of tools, and that was something that interested me. So I'm pleased that I went with that. But back in that time when Craftsman looked like it was going to be gone and maybe gone forever, started seeing Craftsman tools at Sears. I thought, what a cool thing. Maybe I can bring life back to my old Craftsman tools. So I went to look at the Craftsman tools at Lowe's. Not the same tools. Batteries wouldn't fit, different voltage, different physical characteristics. Oh man, they killed me. So I'm done with Craftsman. I think I'm done with Craftsman forever because of that move. But I'm pleased to have been into the DeWalt. But one of the things that I'm seeing now is they make adapters that go on top of the DeWalt battery.
Yeah.
So you can take your 20-volt battery and you can pop that into an adapter that will output 13.8 volts, and you can use that to power a radio.
Yeah.
Or other 12-volt appliances. These are becoming big with the camping market because you can take that tool battery and now you can repurpose that into something that's more domestic, for household or for more common voltage use.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fantastic way of keeping those batteries functional and useful beyond the craftsman trade. Because if we're in a grid down situation, maybe those tools need to have a different purpose. Let's break. So good stuff, Ed, and thanks for that comment. Great to have a multi-tiered approach to preparedness. Next on our roster, we have Chattanooga 260 Colt in downtown Dalton. Colt, what's your plan for emergency power?
This is Chattanooga 260 WSCM 494 Colt, downtown Dalton. Yeah, sometimes we lose a lot of power up here, to be honest with you. And I tell you, coming from my time in emergency services with the Guard, we were trained that, no one's coming to save you, and on every 7 days that you don't have power or food, the government can probably assist in 3. So, that being said, talking about the jackeries and things like that, that gets really expensive in a hurry. So what I have done is, courtesy of the YouTubes, I have bought 4 400 amp hour LP4 batteries, and I have them hooked together with a 3,000 watt inverter, ran to solar. So within reason, that could run a long time. Pretty much run everything minus the HVAC on the house. And then if I need to charge them quicker than the solar, then I will turn on my generator. With the fuel sources that I have, my plan is to run on those batteries and then use the generator only when needed to recharge those to keep OPSEC. Because the last thing you want in a grid down situation is someone to know you have something and you exist. Back to you, Net Control.
Yeah, that's very true, and something we've already mentioned, but just to bring emphasis to that, if you're the only one in the neighborhood with a big old noisy generator, it may be tough for you to keep that generator. Somebody is going to decide that they want a generator, and if we're talking about grid down situation, we may not be talking about civil society. We may be talking about every man for himself, and whoever has the most guns wins, and that's just a reality that exists. In desperate times, people will do desperate things, and if that means taking what doesn't belong to them for survival, then that's what they're going to do. And so having a generator making a bunch of noise might not be the smart move. So I think these tools that can recharge silently off of solar power and can operate things with a lot of discretion, with very little noise, and you have to think about things too, like, do you want to leave your lights on and have that light spilling out of your windows at night? Maybe you want to be very conservative about that. And once we get past dusk, go ahead and get things turned off. Work off of flashlights, or work off of, or just don't work off of any light. Just call it a night, and get some rest, and be prepared to hit it when the sun comes up. It will certainly take some adjustments for a lot of us, because you know, I like to stay up late and play on the computers and do some writing, and you know, I do a little bit of research sometimes late at night, and you know, that's something that you know, I'm not going to have a lot of interest in those things if the grid's down and we're trying to survive. Your purpose and your activities are going to change significantly. So I think that's a good plan. I think that's a good place to be. But I do like the approach that Ed has. He's got multiple options. So, you know, if he's in a situation where he's comfortable running the generator, he can. If that's not going to work for him and he needs to recharge his solar batteries with solar power, he's got a plan where he can have power at the same time he's charging. So that's also a smart move, because that gives you multiple options. Now, some of these devices will I've noticed, like with some of my batteries for my phone, I've got one. It's a solar rechargeable battery that I can use to back up my phone. If you plug that in to charge it, it will not produce power for the phone. And same thing, while it's producing power for the phone, even if you've got it laying in direct sunlight, it's not drawing off solar, it's just drawing off the battery. Let me break. So I think that's a design flaw. I think they missed an opportunity to expand the capabilities of the device. If it's able to produce some solar, that should be used to offset what's being drawn from the battery. But in this case, it's either or. You're either going to charge the battery or you're going to use the battery, but you cannot use the solar to pass any energy into the load or the battery. It's either or. It's either in a charging mode or it's in a supply mode.
You know, we talk on Friday night, you know, Dana will tell us before the night's over with, practice the plan, right? Exactly. It would be interesting, Colt, to hear, you know, how often do you exercise your plan? You know, it sounds like you've got a pretty slick setup. How often do you test it?
Well, and that is an important consideration, too, even if you're talking about a conventional generator, because, like we've said, if you just leave that thing in the garage and it sits there for a year, and it's so easy to do, right? I mean, you put that thing in the garage and then life happens. And the next thing you know, it's sitting in the corner of the garage, and now there's a stack of toilet paper and paper towels that's accumulated on top of it. And then there's, you know, a plastic tarp that you bought for something that you just tossed over there. And then there's some 5-gallon buckets, and pretty soon you've forgotten that you even have a generator, and then the lights go out.
Yeah. I know a guy that, I won't mention his name, that siphoned gasoline out of his generator to power his push mower because he didn't have time to go get gas. Then the generator, the next time he needed it, was dry.
Oh no.
It was dry. So it got him.
Yeah.
PM on the generators.
And yeah, so if you can't give it that kind of attention,
yeah.
And I'm the one that would stick it in the corner and forget about it.
Yeah.
All right. That's I've got a riding lawnmower out here right now. It's needed a battery for 2 years. But you know, I put it on a charger and I jump start it.
Yeah.
And here we go. We're good to go. All right. So it's not the main one that we use. I use it mostly for moving trailers around and silly stuff, things other than mowing.
Right.
So it's not the mower that gets used regularly, and so I've not put a battery. Well, now the battery is so bad that even after days of charging, it's still not enough to start.
It's
the
when
mower.
that white stuff starts to come out of the top of it, and it starts to. This is probably time to.
Just pour some Coke on it. It should be all right.
Pour some Coke on it. Right.
I think I just need to take it down to Walmart and give them $30.
There you go.
And I think I can get a new battery for $30 or $40.
Yeah.
And it'll be okay. I just terrible about stuff like that. So I know that if I had a generator that didn't have an automatic exercise function, that it would be just like the push mower. It's not a push more, it's a rider. But it would be just like that. It would be neglected, and then when I need it, it would let me down. Let's break. So good stuff, Colt. And I think that something like a Jackery, right? If you've got a tool like that, I think that's the kind of a thing that if you've got that around, you're going to find ways that you can use that just in everyday situations. I recall an evening up at Mike's place, Free Salad. He broke out the, it's not a Jackery, but it's a whatever brand he has.
I think it's got a blue Yeti.
It could be, I'm not entirely sure, but he's got one of those devices, and he broke that out to power up a pair of laptops because the laptop cord wasn't long enough to go all the way over to the outlet without being a tripping hazard for the kids that are running back and forth. So we could contain all the wires on the coffee table without having a tripping hazard by utilizing that device. And I thought that was brilliant because the last thing I want is for the kid to run by and jerk the power cord out of my laptop and either break the connector or break the laptop. So by eliminating that tripping hazard, he actually made for a safer operating environment. There's just a million ways that you can find to put a device like that to use in our everyday life, just to keep you from having to stretch out an extension cord. As easy as that is, I would probably opt for grabbing the battery-powered device. In fact, just outside of Vanguard, there's a jump start box right there, and it's got a little 100-watt inverter in it. So it's almost big enough. 100 watts doesn't do a lot for us, but it'll power a laptop. So that's it's a handy device to have around. Next on our list, we have Atlanta 313, Steve in Sewanee. I'm not sure if Steve was in or out, but we'll call on Steve and see if he's got any emergency standby power plans. All right, not hearing from Atlanta 313. Let's go to Blue Ridge 63 and see if he has a name for that battery device that we used on his coffee table that day.
This is Blue Ridge 63, yes. I am a fan of the brand called EcoFlow. Very similar to the Jackeries. What got me on them originally was that they were one of the earlier companies to start putting the lithium iron phosphate batteries in those power banks. And those have a ridiculously long charge cycle lifetime to them. Instead of 800 or something like that, it's more like 4,000. So, yeah, I think that particular unit is the EcoFlow River 3 Pro, I think it is.
Okay, yeah, so that's probably why I couldn't remember it, EcoFlow. It's not a really well-known brand, is it?
In that power bank space, they've built up a pretty decent reputation over the last few years. I think they're gaining some momentum.
Well, very good. I know Rogers is trying to look one up now. That could very well be the answer. So a LiFePO battery, and that's one of the things that is cool about those actual LiFePO batteries is the charge cycles is super high on them. I think that your typical lithium-ion battery is good for something like Mike mentioned, 800 to 1,000 charge cycles. So you think about that, right? How often do you charge your cell phone?
Every day.
Every night. Mm-hmm. When you go to bed, you put the phone on a charger, right? In the morning, it's topped off. It's good to go. That's a charge cycle. So if your battery has only got 1,000 charge cycles in it,
1,000 days.
You're less than 3 years from wearing out that battery, and that's about the time frame that most of our phones last, right? Have you ever put that correlation together?
I have, because I actually bought a new battery. I took my phone into Apple and I said, "Give me a new battery."
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's working like new again. But that old battery, it could only hold a charge up to about 80% after a while. Like you said, after a few years.
Oh, yeah.
And that was it's time for a new battery.
So Julie had a phone, and she could charge the phone overnight, and it would only get up to like 60%, and then it would be flat dead by noon. And so she took that phone. Actually, her son-in-law took that phone to Apple to see about a new battery for it. No, it's too old.
Oh,
It's too many generations old. We don't have the battery, and even if we had the battery, we wouldn't warranty the work. And it's so they do plan for obsolescence in those devices, and I think that once you get to a certain state, they're not going to support it any further. Now, our son-in-law was able to find a battery and change the battery in that phone and get some more life out of it. But, you do get to the point where there's diminishing returns because there's enough other issues with the phone, because at some point they no longer provide updates for it. And
I think for Apple, their obsolescence is, I think, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And then you're forced to upgrade.
Right. Well, speaking of being forced to upgrade, what was the sunset date on Windows 10?
Was it this year sometime?
It was October, wasn't it?
Is it October?
Yeah.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
So we've got limited number of episodes remaining on network station you're operating down there. So we're going to figure out something here pretty soon. But I've got a couple of things in mind for upgrading that machine. But there again, this is part of that planned obsolescence. So even outside of the Apple environment, they still do that. We've got a Windows 10 machine that does our live streaming and our video production work, and it needs to be replaced. It's the last one in here that's still Windows 10. Let me break. So yeah, that's definitely something to take a look at. The EcoFlow, and there's probably a handful of other brands in there too. Now, most of my backup battery plans are built around cell phones and laptops, right? So I need to keep the phone charged. I might need to operate a laptop, but I don't really have a backup power plan to run the house, and that's partly because of Cobb EMC and their super high reliability. It's just hard for me to justify spending money on something that I kind of don't really need. Although, if the grid's down,
you only need it once.
I'll only need it that once. Yeah. So I know that I'm rolling the dice with that. But like I say, it's a tough decision. It's tough for me to justify the expenditure. How about you, Tim? McDonough 22. Are you going to buy a standby generator so that if the grid goes down, you can keep the lights on? Grab Mike again. Let me try one more time for McDonough 22. Tim, are you there? All right, we're going to move on and show Tim as in and out. And Dana, you'll be up next. But before we go to Dana, I want to go back to Blue Ridge 63. Mike, do we have any chatter from the live stream that you want to bring to the conversation?
I've actually started assembling a short list of comments. Don't have them all ready for you yet, but a lot of folks chiming in, well, a handful of folks chiming in about the portable power banks that they use. Ed mentioned that he picked up a battery like yours. Wait and see what's inside. So yeah, there's some chatter going on. I'll bring you more in a little while.
All right, we'll come back to you here in a little bit. Atlanta 250, Dana, high atop Mount Olympus. Probably the lights never go off on Mount Olympus, I'm betting. Atlanta 250. Dana, did you fall out of your chair? All right, not hearing anything from Dana. We're going to continue on. Next, we have Chattanooga 3-2, Scott in Rossville. Scott, do you have any comments for tonight's net related to emergency power?
Yes, sir. Chattanooga 32. I'd like to say after selling generators for about 10 years, propane and natural gas are the way to go. Gasoline is just not stable. If you stabilize it, there's going to be problems. So I would say if you live in the city, go with natural gas. If you live in the country, go with storage with propane.
Yeah, there's a tri-fuel generator that Costco has, and if I were to buy a generator, I probably would buy that one, right? So, and I've got a way to power the property, with a generator, but it would be a convoluted mess of throwing the main breaker off and various other breakers on to sort of backfeed an outlet. I have a panel on the side of the house that I could pretty easily put an interlock on and make a generator feed out of that, but I still have to get back to the main panel, and that's where the interlock needs to be, and there's just not a good way to do that. So I'm not sure how to make that happen in this situation without doing a lot of expensive breaker panel transfer switch rewiring. So yeah, it would be a kludge situation at best, but propane would be my preferred means of powering a generator for some of the reasons that you mentioned. I think the biggest one being that you don't have to worry about old gas in a carburetor with propane, right? You just jet the gas into the carburetor, and it's going to mix with the air, and it's going to run. You may not have the same power density that you get out of gasoline, but you still have a functional device with minimal maintenance, and we don't have to worry about additives for the gasoline for storage. We don't have to worry about the ethanol in our gasoline messing with the seals and stuff. Yeah, I think that's the one. That's the one that I've seen. So I think you can buy that generator at Costco for like $900, and it's the same generator, and it's a tri-fuel. So if you needed to run it on gasoline, you could, but you can run it on natural gas, or propane, and that I think is a great way to go. And having the ability to run it on natural gas is even cooler, right? Because we can tap a line off of the natural gas that's already on the property and bring that over where the generator is going to be, and maybe we can put a manual transfer switch right beside the meter panel. That would be ideal, because then you can transfer off of the grid power to generator power. You're completely disconnected from the grid, and that's the safest way to go, I think, rather than trying to backfeed through other means. I think that that if I were going to do a generator, that's the one that I would do, and I like that one because of the tri-fuel option. Is that what you had in mind?
Looks like a wise choice. Yep, it keeps it clean.
Now, up at the flagship site, and I think I saw a brief mention of this in the chat. I just haven't been able to spend as much time in the chat as I'd like. But up at the flagship site, we have a pretty sizable Generac standby generator. with a pretty sizable. Is that a 500-gallon propane tank, or is it more than that? It's a pretty big tank. Anyway, that generator is, I want to say it's a 26 kilowatt machine. It's a big commercial grade generator, and it will absolutely more than power that location. Our load, we have 6 repeaters at that site that are in the 50 watt range, so they're consuming probably, I'll bet the total power load at that building until you turn the lights on is in the area of 600 or 700 watts for all of the radios that are out there running. The Raspberry Pis, the Starlink, we're probably in a 600 or 700 watt range, certainly under 1,000 watts. So it's barely more than an idle for a machine like that, right? So it's not going to be drawing a lot of fuel in order for it to make power to run those repeaters. But the standby repeater is a pretty sizable investment. What's nice about that is if you've got natural gas, then you don't have to worry about hauling gas cans or filling propane bottles. It's just there and it runs. And so if the power does go out, the natural gas supply will last for a pretty good long while, because a lot of that equipment is powered by natural gas. So the lines are pressurized. All of that stuff is self-powering. So as long as there's a gas supply available somewhere, and oftentimes those are just coming right off of the venting right off of the oil wells throughout the country, that system will run with very little human intervention for weeks, maybe months. So that would be a great way for alternative power, especially if you could make it run quiet enough not to draw attention.
Yeah, that's the key part.
But those Generac machines are made to run quiet, and they're not silent. They will make some noise, but you're not going to be heard for miles and miles like you would the generator we looked at just a moment ago. That one's going to make a racket. And
I like the tri-fuel one that you mentioned. People, the rabbit hole can probably tell us better, but some of that fuel could be stored differently, or maybe one last longer than others.
Well, I mean, propane, you don't have to worry about propane going bad in the bottle. It can stay in a propane bottle for a very long time, and it's not going to break down like gasoline does. It's not going to, the additives aren't going to separate out. Propane is very stable, and of course natural gas, if you can power it with natural gas, even if you're not a big consumer of natural gas, let's break. If you're not a consumer of natural gas yourself, other people in the neighborhood are, so you're always getting a fresh supply of natural gas, in those lines. So you're not dealing with, but the other side of that equation is that natural gas doesn't really go bad if it sits too long. It's pretty stable. So I think that those are great things. And the other thing I like about either propane or natural gas is you're not saturating the float in the carburetor. So you know how an old carburetor, the machine doesn't run very well. It tends to start running rich because the float is saturated and it's constantly dumping more gas into the carburetor than it really wants. The engine floods easily because these are all the small engine things that we deal with when we're dealing with old engines. And a carburetor rebuild's not a big deal, but it is in the middle of the night while the thunderstorm's blowing. So natural gas gets you around all that. We don't care about the float in the carburetor because we're not using it. We don't care about the seals and things that could go bad because of the ethanol in the gasoline, because we're not putting ethanol in our propane. And these are things that we avoid by just using gas or propane as opposed to any form of gasoline. Now, for all the small engine stuff around here, I've got a gas station here that sells ethanol-free gas. And I try to buy ethanol-free gas for all of my small engine equipment on the property to avoid any of the issues that come with ethanol in the gasoline. But there again, a generator is something that's going to spend most of its life sitting and waiting for action. And so if you can put one of those standby generators on the side of your house. You had one shown there a little bit ago for almost $7,000. If you can do that, that machine will exercise itself every week, and it does all the things that we don't naturally do to make sure that it's up and ready and running. So if it goes through an exercise routine and it finds a fault, it will give you a warning that, hey, I've got something wrong. You need to have a technician come out and look at it. So that's the beauty of a machine like that. Whereas if you've got the machine sitting in the corner of the garage and the seals and the carburetor have gone bad, you don't know it until you can't get it to start. So good stuff. Thanks for that, Scott. And with that, we're going to continue on. Let's see, where were we? We were at, if I would just look at the log, it would tell me that we just talked with Scott. Next on the list is Rhino, Atlanta 295. Rhino, what are your thoughts on emergency power?
Good evening, Net Control, Rhino here, Atlanta 295. I've talked about this on this net before. We have a flat roof, so we have a large solar array, solar panels, and these 20 kilowatt hour batteries are stackable. We have a switcher, some switch gear. It does power the entire house. I don't like that. When we've lost power before, I've run around and turned off all the outside lights, and it even powers the pool pump. I think it's ridiculous the way it was installed. I wish it wasn't that way. Really, let me break. But the good part is it does continue to power our alarm system, which if we're in a grid down situation, it's not necessarily going to call the police, but it does have a physical alarm that with sensors on the doors. So it does power our camera systems and all of that. So we get alerted camera systems. Our solar system has we use Solar Edge, and it reports to us. It reports to me every month. It lets me know our power offset, the status of the batteries, and the status of the solar panels on the roof, and all of the circuits are making it, the overall health of the system. So I wouldn't be opposed to having a backup. We have natural gas here, so I wouldn't be opposed to having a natural gas generator as a backup or something like that, just in case there is a problem. Or I don't know. Solar to me is pretty renewable, unless there's a nuclear winter of some kind. Probably is not going to work. But listen, if all else fails, I'm sure I could find a way to fashion up some type of treadmill that I could get the kids to run on to power my coffee pot. Over.
Well, I think that's the most important thing, because I don't know that there is life after coffee. So I think the kids would be all about making sure that Dad's got coffee for their own sanity and protection. I think that is completely valid. I don't know, the mechanics of a treadmill and the way that they're geared might be challenging to get one to generate electricity natively, but I think with some creative application of probably some homebrew devices, it seems like it could be done. So yeah, definitely hope that's an experiment you never have to conduct. Good stuff, Rhino. Who am I thinking of? Rhino. Yeah, because I'm looking at the YouTube chat. All right, I got to quit doing that. Thank you for that, Rhino. And with that, we're going to continue on. Next, we have Atlanta 255, Jennifer. Jennifer, do you have any comments, any plans for emergency power at your place?
Hey, Atlanta 255, do I sound any better? Back to the QTH here. I'm off the HT.
Yeah, you've got a normal audio level now. You were really, really low before, but we could tell who it was, and more so than we could hear it. But you've got good audio this time around.
very good. Not much else to add. You know, I've got a little battery backup thing that'll run my radios if need be, and can charge cell phones on it, that kind of thing. I do have, to my shame, a generator in the garage that probably will not work, so that's on the project list. I've also got some solar panels that are on the project list, but that's about it. That's not up and running yet.
Well, you know, projects are one of those things that never really seem to come. You never run out of them. There's always something to do, especially if you're a homeowner. But as a hobbyist, a tinkerer, there's always another idea. There's always another improvement that we can make. There's always another quest for more information and learning. Like, for instance, I started the project with that battery by taking it apart to explore what it's made of, but I didn't finish that project by resoldering that wire that I damaged and gluing the top back down to the case. So that battery could be restored to full original functionality with just a little bit of effort, but I just haven't gotten there yet. So maybe one of these days, maybe we'll have to get together and exchange round to-its or something, so we can be motivated to finish our projects. There's another project here on the property, Studio B. You know, I get out there and I tinker with this and with that. I get distracted. I listen to music. I've got just a few small things that I need to do to be a milestone for me to move into the next phase of that project. And man, I'm having so much trouble finding the motivation and the energy to get out there and get those little things done so that I can move to the next big thing. And the next big thing is exciting. And you'd think that you know, I just get out there and it's tough. So I need some motivation to get out there and get working on Studio B. But good stuff, and yeah, always projects. I'm looking forward to a time when maybe we can sit and talk about some of your projects, and maybe you can show us a little bit about what you've got going on and how you go about some of them. So maybe that'll happen one of these days. What do you think?
Well, I just finished my slide deck for Chattanooga Hamfest, so that was one of the projects that I've been putting off, and I just sent that to you guys. And you can peruse it and take a look at it and see what you think. Let's see. There's an antenna build involved with that, but you know, I think I've got that one down. And, let's see. All kinds of projects. I'm a homeowner too. I just got one link up and running. I don't know if you know what that is or not, but on the ham side. So I'm excited about that project. What else, other than Studio B, what else do you have going on? I mean, I've got all kinds of stuff.
Well, there's this thing coming up in October that you may or may not be aware of. Matter of fact, I think you have a forum that you're going to be presenting at the Chattanooga GMRS Fest. I'll be there too. In fact, I believe that I'm scheduled to do a forum. I haven't even considered putting my slide deck together. So I think that my slide deck is really just a bunch of web pages. Should be pretty easy to do. You can just screenshot those and turn that into a PowerPoint or something of that nature, a series of images. But yeah, I'll be talking about GMRS radio and NGARA and how they're combined and how they're different. And yeah, that's my plan for Chattanooga Hamfest. And of course, we'll be there with the North Georgia Amateur Radio Association. North Georgia GMRS will be there. Vanguard will be there. We're still kicking around operating Vanguard from the grounds. That plan may or may not come to be. Still working on details around that. And yeah, lots of stuff going on around here. So looking forward to your next big project after. I guess that'll be after the Chattanooga Hamfest. We'll talk about that in a little greater detail, and looking forward to that kickoff. So that's good stuff. That brings us to the end of the roster. We do have some YouTube check-ins. We've got R. Ferguson checking in from Hayesville, Kansas. That's WRQE398. Thank you for that check-in. We've got Atlanta 33 Tony in Lawrenceville is a YouTube check-in. Tacoma 10 David, I'm sorry, that's Dave in Lakemont, Georgia, checking in on YouTube. We have Atlanta 306 George in Loganville checking in on YouTube. Atlanta 374 Lamar in Dawsonville. Rome 11 Mark in Adairsville. We have WSDY 234. I'm going to say this name wrong, but I'm going to go for it. I believe it's going to be Nasser. That's how it's spelled. Nasser is a guest check-in tonight, and welcome to our YouTube live stream. Thanks for hanging out with us. We have Atlanta 273 Mitchell in Canton. We have Atlanta 123 Jarius in Allenwood. We have Chattanooga 208 Robert in Chattanooga. Those are the check-ins that we have at this time. At this time, we're going to take additional late check-ins. Also, any questions or comments, if you checked in and you've decided you want to jump in to the conversation or come back and rebut somebody's remarks, this is your chance. Just come on the air, say comment, and give your TAC number, and we'll get you on the list for comments. And if you'd like to check in, you can do that just in the regular format. Just come on with your call sign, your tactical user number, your name, and your general location. Net Control standing by for any late check-ins, any questions or comments.
This is Atlanta 297.
This is WQIV 982, Noonan 119, Jim and Noonan. The late check-in, and it's a great net tonight. Thanks.
And you can modify a treadmill to generate power.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's,
Oh, there's plans online?
yeah, you can do it. It's a thing.
Wow.
So he wasn't joking.
It's just talking the wife into walking on it. That's it.
Right.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Seems like there's a carrot and a stick joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. All right, we heard from Atlanta 297 Matt in Ackworth, and we heard from Noonan 119 Jim in Noonan. Let me go first to Matt, Atlanta 297. Matt, do you have any comments or questions for tonight's net?
Yeah, just two real quick questions, and I'll let you go. I know we're dragging late. Regarding the Mesh-tastic workshop at the Kennesaw Library this Saturday, could you confirm the start time for that? And then secondly, is there a cost associated with attending the Chattanooga Hamfest? Are tickets being sold? I haven't been able to find that information.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you, Mike. And Ed, if you're available, I'll have you come on and chime in a little bit about Mesh-tastic. But before we do that, let me tell you that Chattanooga Hamfest is $10 is your admission for the Chattanooga Hamfest. That is going to be Friday from noon to 6 and Saturday from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. That $10 covers both days. And if you have kids 18 or under, they are free with a paying adult. So if you want to bring your kids along and walk around the boneyard with the kids, have them visit some of the vendors and talk with some of the hams that are there, and could be an opportunity to inspire our youth and get them involved in amateur radio. So kids are free. There is a web page. If you go to w4am.net, that's whiskey 4 alpha mike.net. You can find information on that web page about the Chattanooga Hamfest, also known as the North Georgia GMRS GMRS Fest.
That $10 entry also puts you in a raffle, right? Right, Justin?
It does, and there are some pretty impressive door prizes, a couple of radios, and some other interesting things that would be very cool to have. So, and there's a lot of door prizes. There's like a drawing for a door prize every hour. So if you have your $10 ticket, that will give you one entry for the door prize. You can purchase additional entries. They are $10 each. So if you just want to have more chances at the win for one of those door prizes, you can buy some extras. That also helps support this and future Hamfests at the venue. So that's one of the things that we were hoping to achieve is a high level of attendance this year. Hamfest attendance has been down overall for most Hamfests so far this year. We're hoping to turn that around a little bit with this one. If we can get a decent level of attendance, that will ensure our ability to have a Hamfest again next year. So looking forward to that, and I think we'll be there. I really do, based on the feedback that I've gotten so far. This is a beautiful venue. It's an exhibition hall, and it's the right place for a Hamfest, actually. You know, so many times we hold a Hamfest at the fairgrounds, and that works. But, you know, there was one time that we had paid for a booth to represent North Georgia GMRS at a Hamfest, and they put us in an area in front of chicken cages.
Oh.
Yeah. Let me break. So I just don't feel like that's where we need to be. So I still go to that particular Hamfest very often. If we take North Georgia GMRS, we set up in the Boneyard. It's a good Hamfest. There's lots of attendance there. So this is the Hamfest in February, and if you go there and you pass your exam for either a new license or an upgraded license, you can get a free salad with the purchase of a buffet. We'll see if Blue Ridge 63 has any comments about that. But that's $10, gets you into the Hamfest, and then Ed, Atlanta 557, if you're available, why don't you come on and talk a little bit about Meshtastic?
Well, sure, Justin. I'll answer the two questions. The first is the time. It will be this Saturday from 1 p.m. until about 3 p.m. I'll be there around noon to set up, but we'll start off at 1 p.m. As far as the cost goes, there is no charge. I went ahead and rented the room with my own funds, so there's no charge, admission fee or anything like that to attend. I'm just doing it to get the word out about Meshtastic, and it actually is a great lead-in to next week's net. Last thing I'll say, and then I'll get off here, is it is at the West Cobb Library in Kennesaw. It happens to be on Dennis Kemp Lane. That's the name of the road that the library is on. Do not confuse it with the other one. There is another library in Kennesaw called the Kemp Library. That's on Kennesaw due West. That is not it. It is the West Cobb Library on Dennis Kemp Lane, and it's right next to the YMCA. Hope that helps.
All right, very good stuff, Ed, and thanks for coming on and clarifying that. So 1 to 3 p.m., you don't need to bring any money. However, if you want to purchase a Meshtastic device, Ed, did you tell me that Colt is going to have some available at the event?
Yes, sir. I should have mentioned that. Colt is a distributor for MusiWorks, a local company here in Atlanta that manufactures and sells Meshtastic nodes. He will have a number of nodes with him, so everyone can bring their own node, and we'll help you set it up and get it going. Or if you're new to Meshtastic and want to get started and don't have one, Colt will have a number of nodes that will be available for folks to purchase.
All right, and I suppose you don't have any of those pricing details available, do you, Ed? maybe if Colt is still on, maybe we can have Chattanooga 260 come on and talk about that pricing.
This is Chattanooga 260. Yeah, it's whatever I buy for wholesale. I think it's like there's one for 50, there's one at 75, and one at 100. So it's just whatever that wholesale number is. I'm not making a dime. I'm passing it on. Chattanooga 260, back to you.
All right, so that's the deal. It's free to attend, and if you have your own node, you can bring it, and they'll help you get it programmed and operational for you. If you don't have a node and you would like to acquire one at the event, bring a little bit of money. Bring $100, but maybe you only need to spend 50. That seems like the thing to do. And but if you don't have any money, you can still go. And you can learn how to set up your node when you do acquire one. So either way, I think it'll be worthwhile, and I look forward to hearing about it after the fact. I would love to be there, but I have another obligation on that day, so I won't be able to attend. And no, I'm not getting rabbit wings. I have someplace else to be. So, but you know, that's the other thing that. If you're going to go meet with David and Lisa and enjoy some rabbit wings at the Taco Mac over there in Kennesaw, it's Marietta, technically, I think. Say hi to them and look forward to catching up with all the gang at one of these luncheons sometime along the way. I don't know if I'll ever be able to go to Roosters because that's on a Wednesday. But Julie and I were talking about meeting up with the Northeast crew at some point. We want to get together with Pamela and Ernest over at Peachtree Corners. We'd love to go back up to Champy's sometime and hang out with the Chattanooga folks for lunch. It's great chicken. It's a great chicken place there. If you've ever been, fried. It's just your basic fried chicken, but it's really good. No rabbit wings.
No rabbit wings.
No rabbit wings. No.
Not that time.
It wouldn't be a net if we didn't talk about food.
That's right.
I'm just saying.
That's a must. But hopefully we got your questions answered, Matthew. Did you have anything else?
You could point me to where to buy the tickets for the Ham Fest. That would be fantastic.
I don't know that they have pre-sale tickets available. I think they're going to be at the door. But if there is a pre-sale ticket option, it's going to be at that w4am.net website. I just don't know exactly where that is. I'm not aware that they offer a pre-sale ticket. Like the Stone Mountain Ham Fest, you can buy the tickets ahead of time, and it's usually a few dollars less than if you buy them at the gate. But because I'm an attendee, I'm a presenter at the ham fests that I go to, because we're paying for tables and stuff. I haven't paid admission to a ham fest in I don't know how long. Because we're paying for the table, and that usually comes with admissions. So I don't know. Do you see anything on there that shows pre-sale tickets?
No, just to sign up to get your license, amateur license. But I don't see any pre-sale tickets.
Okay.
I think if historically, if it follows what they've done in years past, it's pay when you're there.
Yeah.
And then you get your ticket, you get your raffle ticket. So I think that's part of it.
Yeah. Bring a cheap pen and be able to scribble your call sign and your name on the back of the ticket so that you can put that in the drawing. And but yeah, I think it's going to be at the door on day of. So you can buy the ticket on Friday or Saturday, and whenever you get there, just drop it in the bin thing that they have there for the drawing, and you'll be good to go from that point on. So, all right then, let's go on to our last check, and we have Noonan 119 Jim in Noonan. Jim, do you have any questions or comments for the net? Any remarks about emergency power?
No, it's just a great evening. Thank you, great listening, and Russell, great kids around here and there, so that's half of it. That's all. Just checking out. Have a nice night, gents.
right. Well, then that's going to wrap things up for us. What about right here in the room? Did you have anything you wanted to follow up with?
No, just that this month is National Preparedness Month. So, as we're talking about different methods of being prepared, it's a mentality. So, if you have, you may not have a 3-tiered system. You may just have a backup, battery or backup generator. Start with what you have and where you are, and just build up from there.
And I would just plug too. I would plug the YouTube. We stream live, but this is recorded, so you can go on and you can watch this. You can hear how you sounded when you checked in, and you can get a plethora of information tonight on battery backup.
Yeah, and one thing I recently learned that you can do, like if you want to go back and watch this net tomorrow or next week or something, you can actually play it back at a higher speed. You can play it back at 2 times speed, or you can play it back ridiculously fast. And I sound ridiculous because I'm talking really fast, but you can still understand the things that are being said even though it's done faster. So you can reduce the amount of time it takes to watch the whole episode. I didn't know that until here just very recently, and it's something that I've come to appreciate. So if you want to watch the net, but you don't necessarily want to invest all the time that this net is on the air, that's an option. You can watch it 2 hours worth of YouTube programming in just over an hour, and so bear that in mind. One more thing I want to make mention of before we I'll tell you what, let's go to Free Salad, Blue Ridge 63. Do you have any comments from the YouTube chat you'd like to bring? And do you have any comments yourself with regards to emergency or standby power?
Blue Ridge 63. No additional comments from the YouTube chat. As far as the point I was going to make, I think Roger's articulated pretty well. It's start where you are. Start with what you can. Understand that there are different layers to preparedness, especially when it comes to power. And if the power bank that charges your phone is where you're at now, and you're aspiring to a larger device or a different generator, or maybe you've got one of the loud generators now and you want one of the quieter inverter RV style generators, the point is just to get started and work it into your plans and your budget and plan for it, and prioritize. Power I think it's one of the more important things, but it may not be the most important thing, right? And so I think the folks on the rabbit hole do a great job of illuminating through their nets and their conversations the different priorities that you should have throughout your preparedness journey and throughout this being Preparedness Month. And I think all of them, I'm glad we're talking about a different topic every week, because all of them have different merit on their own. So start where you are, do what you can, think about it actively, and you'll end up better off than you were a year ago when you look back a year from now. So I guess that's my parting words. Back to you.
All right, we'll sign out.
All right. Well, for your script here in a minute, you're going to ask, or you're going to wish you asked, the number is 74 for tonight. This is WRWM 344 Blue Ridge 63. I'm clear.
Excellent stuff. And remember, folks, a $2,000 reward for information leading to an FCC action against the folks that have been perpetrating intentional interference against the North Georgia GMRS Network. If you have information, send that to Gary at nggmrs.org or to Justin at nggmrs.org. Also, we're still looking for some volunteers to operate right here in Studio Vanguard at the Chattanooga Hamfest for talk-in, either in 2-meter or in GMRS. So if you have an amateur license and would like to volunteer for that, send me an email, justin at nggmrs.org, or if you'd like to volunteer for GMRS service. The radios will be operating side by side right here in Studio Vanguard, and you'll be able to operate with one of the Heil Pro 7 headphones, so you'll have isolation between you and the person next to you operating in different bands. It'll be a great experience, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. The more volunteers that we have, the shorter a shift each volunteer will have to work. So you can also enjoy the Hamfest. I don't expect anybody to come and have to sit in here the whole day. I would hope that we would have enough folks that we can rotate out and everybody has a chance to enjoy operating in Vanguard and go enjoy the Hamfest. So send me an email, and I would love to get you added to the roster for talk-in at the Chattanooga GMRS Fest. This concludes the North Georgia GMRS Regional Night. Regional Net. You'd think it was my first time.
But it is at night, so
it is. It's all night if this guy doesn't shut up. Tonight we had a total of 74 chickens. Is that what Mike said?
I think it was.
Yeah. 74 chickens, including net control. We will now be returning the repeaters back to normal use. Everyone who signed in should sign out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, comments on a YouTube video shows engagement with the video, and that helps the channel to grow. Tune in next week on any North Georgia GMRS linked repeater or on a YouTube live stream when we talk about emergency radio operations. It says ammo cans. This is so old. Thanks for allowing us to serve as your net control this evening. Good night, everyone. This is Atlanta 946 WQIR 514. My name is Justin.
And this is WSAL 368, Atlanta 263. My name is Rogers.
And this is WRUB 711, Atlanta 519. My name is Gary.
We are North Georgia GMRS Network.
And we are clear.
Good night, everyone.